Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is David. Today I wanted to talk to you about a great tool that you should be using to help you see shapes better when you're drawing. If you watch some of my other videos, I'm a big advocate of seeing shapes when you're drawing instead of seeing things. And sometimes that's really hard to do when you get into drawing. Like, it conceptually sounds easy, but in practice it can be a little bit more difficult. So what I'm doing here first is laying a tone onto the paper. And what this does, you'll see later, is it helps you to establish form much easier. And this is simply accomplished by taking compressed charcoal, laying it on its side and toning the piece of paper, and then taking a chamois cloth and evening out that tone so you don't see the charcoal lines and the pencil lines, and you just have an even tone across the surface. So here I have this mannequin positioned in pretty standard, just straight up and down. It's a very simple position, but obviously you can get a lot more complex with this, but I wanted to keep it simple for demonstration purposes. It allows you to shape it into any kind of position that you want to have, and really see things that you're not going to see or find in a stock search, or trying to find images that match that position. Manikin, I believe, is a Scandinavian term, Swedish or Norwegian. Don't quote me on that at all. Obviously, you can Google that and find that out. But it basically means small man or tiny man. And I believe that's where the term mannequin, which is spelled Mannequin, comes from. So one of the biggest benefits of using the Manikin is for what's called foreshortening, and that's simply where an object is coming at you in space. So on a flat 2D surface, think of an arm coming towards you, like I have in this pose. So that's a very difficult thing to draw. And if you're going to try to draw that from life right off the bat, so if you had a model in front of you sticking their arm out in front of them and you're trying to draw that, it's pretty complex. So using this mannequin makes it a lot simpler. And you can see here, it is simpler because you're just looking at the shapes and not the complex structure of the form. Instead of trying to draw the forearm and the hand and the fingers, the mannequin allows you to basically break that down into two shapes. So essentially a cylinder and an oval shape. So you can start to see how this mannequin can train your eye and your mind to see very simplistic shapes and not get caught up in the complexity of the human form. So I'm just going around and breaking down the figure into those simple shapes, and the mannequin is doing all the work for me, essentially. So the head is an oval, the torso is essentially a polygon, and it becomes very easy to start to translate these complex shapes into simple forms. So one benefit of toning the paper is that it's going to allow you on the back end to pull out highlights. So you can see here I'm using what's called the Kneaded Eraser. And this is an eraser that you can manipulate into different forms and shape it into a point. It's kind of got sort of a Play-Doh texture to it. If you remember Play-Doh, I'm probably kind of dating myself here. I don't know if kids even have Play-Doh anymore, but this eraser is very much like that. So you can form it into any shape you want. You can see here how I'm getting it to a point, and it allows me to pull out the highlights in the form with this kneaded eraser. So this is a great technique to use when you are drawing many various things. And you can use this on really any type of paper. For this drawing, I'm using graphite as opposed to charcoal. So in the beginning, I use compressed charcoal to lay down the tone on the paper, and then I'm using pencils to do the actual drawing. So just a note on that is if you are going to use charcoal or graphite, just keep in mind you don't want to mix those two materials because they don't blend together, and it's going to look, you're going to have difficulty making that look nice in the end. A simple way to think about that is graphite usually has a sheen to it, or a little bit of a reflection of light. So when you hold it to the light, there'll be a little bit of a reflection coming off of it, whereas charcoal will not reflect the light back. It'll be very flat and have a matte, almost a matte finish to it. And because I toned the paper and it all has a uniform tone across it, it's easy for me to erase now and get these bright highlights on the figure. So it's kind of a backwards way of thinking in that you're pulling out the highlights from a dark shape. So after I pull out the highlights, I'm just kind of finishing up and adding a little bit more darker tones to really kind of help that form go back into space. So that's a quick rundown of the Manikin and how you can use it to help you see shapes better. I hope you found that helpful, and I'd really strongly recommend that you get one of these little objects to play around with. I'm going to try to do more videos in the future that get a little bit more elaborate with the forms that we see and the positions the figure are in, to really show you how that foreshortening can become a great exercise to go through in drawing. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.